Well, and then it goes to piggyback on his speech, right?
Oh my gosh.
How embarrassing.
Yeah, that was, I don't even, the guy is great at what he does. Great football player, awesome. But it was very cringy moment. Learn to use that money as a tool instead of a toy. That's what I really learned. Hey, that's really good.
It's a good hashtag.
That hashtag. All right, so do it for 30 days. I'm just talking about this. I'm already feeling the stress go away.
You're feeling the stress melt.
Just melt away. Welcome to another episode of the Mental Health Janitors, where we help you clean up the mess in your head. I'm your host, Sgt Q, and with me as always, Doc Jess.
Good afternoon. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. All right, guys, we have a really cool episode for you. We just watched the Super Bowl last night, which was an amazing game. So I know we're about a week behind schedule, but that's just how our recording episodes work. We need about a week to do a good turnaround for you guys. But we're going to talk about some current events that happened at the Super Bowl. Then we're going to talk about our new advancement, which is around financial stress. So this whole month, we're talking about how to reduce stress. And one of the ways to reduce stress is around finances. It's a big stressor for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so both you and I have had experience with the Dave Ramsey plan. And so we're going to share with you a tool that we use for that. Then we're going to talk about our scripture, Luke 14:28 through 30. Share with you guys some historical, biblically accurate information around reducing stress. And then we're going to talk about a tool for your toolbox. We're going to get right back into that FPU, Financial Peace University envelope system that will help you guys be able to create a better strategy to how you spend your money.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really what that is. The envelope system is a strategy that you can use right now today. You can implement this today to help take control of your finances. It's a game changer. All right. Well, that's what we're going to do.
Before we get into it, knowledge.
Yes. Okay.
Our word teaser.
Card. Here we go.
So we're 7-1.
Is it 7-1?
I have 7. You have 1.
No. I have 7 right.
Yes.
You're betting against me.
I am betting for you. That's why I got you these.
Okay. I like that. I like that. What do they call that? Reverse psychology.
Sure.
Here we go.
Which is more sensitive, your fingertips or your tongue?
Ooh, I'm going to say your tongue because you have, because it can taste as where your fingers can't taste. And your fingers are very sensitive. However, they're exposed to a lot more harsh environments than your tongue. So I'd say your tongue.
Half right. It says your fingertips for touch, your tongue for temperature.
Oh.
Fingertips are so sensitive that if the earth was reduced to the size of your hand, your fingertips could feel the difference between a house and a car. Gives a whole new meaning to the phrase being touchy.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So is that
I don't know.
That was kind of a stupid answer.
Yeah, because you couldn't get it right or wrong.
Yeah.
True.
Let's just do a different one. Let's do another one.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
Because there's no,
Okay.
There was no clear difference.
Yeah, that was a hard one. Yeah. Okay. Here's a long one. You are 10 feet away from your date's front door. You're nervous. You decide to take it slow and take a halfway step to the door every 10 seconds. How long does it take you to get to the door?
You said 10 steps or 10 feet?
10 feet away from your date's front door. You're nervous. You decide to take it slow and take a halfway step to the door every 10 seconds.
Okay, so I got to do some math here. All right, so I know that my step is 2.2 feet. That's my pace count, 2.2 feet. So 10 divided by 2.2. I'm just going to say 2 because it's just easier. So 5. So I need 5 half steps. So 5 half steps to get there. And it's a 10 seconds every step?
You take a halfway step to the door every 10 seconds.
Every 10 seconds. So 10 times 5. So
I'm going to give you a hint.
50.
It's a trick question.
It's a trick. Well, yeah, it's a trick question.
You take a halfway step to the door every 10 seconds.
Oh, geez. A halfway. So it should take me 20 seconds then. Because I can't take a 5-foot step. I'm 5 feet tall. So a halfway step. So I take a half. Oh, hold on. So
halfway step, and then another halfway
step, and then another halfway step. So 30 seconds.
It says forever.
Forever. Oh,
you would never get there as you're continually dividing the remaining distance in half. Best to just go for it.
I said I got that one wrong then.
You need to talk to a counselor.
I do. I got that one wrong. I'm over here doing math. And
I know that. I was like, I'm not that pace count.
I'm like, okay, so my pace count is 2.5 steps, 2.5 feet per step. Okay, so I got that one wrong. Trick question. You got me.
All right, you want to go one more?
No.
Okay.
One. The other one didn't count because it was like impossible to get right. But that one, if
it's not really fair, but
it's all right. It's all right. Yeah. Life's not fair.
Yeah, you can't be a winner for everything, huh?
Yeah. I gotta take the L's with the W's.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, let's get into it, Jess. Let's talk about our current event, which is what happened at the Super Bowl. Yeah. Did you watch the Super Bowl?
I did. I watched it.
So do you know what we're talking about here? What Casey and I were talking about? Or did you know before we mentioned it to you in the pre-show?
What, football? About football?
Yes.
Is this a girl joke?
No. Did you see the interaction between Kelce and his
I didn't
coach?
see that interaction.
Yes. Yeah. So everybody, so it's funny because now Kelce is in the meme universe. Mm-hmm. It's super funny. So if you want, you can Google right now, unless you're driving, Kelce memes, and they are hilarious. One of the best ones. So if you don't know, if you're like Jess and you didn't see what happened and you haven't seen the memes over the last week, he runs up to his coach. I want to say it's his first quarter. He runs up to his coach and he grabs the coach. Coach is an old dude, okay? Grabs him really aggressively, shakes him, and starts yelling at him. Now, I have no idea what he said. No idea. They did a press conference later, but I didn't watch it. He's yelling at him, saying something. Super aggressive, way out of line. And it's funny because now in the meme universe, there's all these memes of what he could have said during that time. Like, Coach, we have to win this game or else Taylor's going to break up with me and I'm going to end up another one of her songs.
Ah, nice.
So there's all kinds of memes coming out about this now.
Right.
You haven't, no. You didn't see any of that?
No, I haven't been on. I went to the dentist this morning.
Okay.
I didn't have time to scroll.
It was a very bizarre interaction. I watched it happen on TV. I watched this interaction. And I was shocked. I was like, wow, okay, he's going to get a fine. Coach might bench him. I don't know, like high school. I was like, there's got to be some sort of repercussion. The coach did not seem fazed at all by this interaction, which is one of two things. One, that's how he acts on a regular basis. So the coach is just kind of used to it. Or two, the coach didn't know what to do. So he did nothing. I don't know what.
And my question, the counselor in me, or not even counselor, but like, I'm wondering if he has never had this kind of history of that kind of behavior. Is it some of the fame that's getting to him?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just, I watched football ever since I was a kid. And I had never seen an interaction like that where a player was so aggressive toward his coach. It was just bizarre.
Well, and then it goes to piggyback on his speech, right?
Oh my gosh.
How embarrassing.
Yeah, that was, I don't even, the guy is great at what he does. Great football player, awesome. But it was very cringy moment for me. I do a lot of public speaking, and a lot of public speaking sometimes that's kind of off the cuff. And so I'm not always the best at it. I really try hard. I'm not always the best. But this was so frat boy like
best way to say it.
sophomore year
Politically
in
correct.
college frat boy speech. It was just cringy where you
Cringe.
just feel bad for him. Like, in 20
And his
years.
mom.
Oh,
I feel so bad for his mom. So
I'm
embarrassing.
not trying to throw shade on you, bro. Like you're ever going to watch this podcast, but it was just that moment where it's just like,
Turn the camera.
He was trying to get the crowd to chant like "Viva Las Vegas," and nobody was doing it.
That was
And
so
it was just like,
sad.
and then he just like keeps going with it, and he tries another chant, and you're just like,
Oh, read the room.
like somebody pull the mic, like let's go. But he was like totally like Jersey Shore, fist pumping, like
Oh gosh, nice, nice
kind of thing. And I just like the guy just won the Super Bowl, so I'm not trying to throw shade on him. You know what I mean? But it was just that whole interaction, and I don't know anything about this guy. He's not a player that I follow or know a ton of stuff about. But just in that limited interaction of what I really watched in that football game, I was not a fan of this guy. And I don't think I will be, because that behavior was so out of line for the value system that I have as a person, number one. And number two, a value system that I would expect from a leader, which is what he is. He's a role model and a leader to the youth.
Yeah.
And so when I look at that type of behavior, that's what I would use, as our pastor would say, as a sermon example.
As a bad sermon example.
Right? Right. Because his behavior was so out of line, out of character from what you would expect from a football player. Now, sometimes in basketball, you see those big egos and you see people acting a fool and acting that way, which is why I don't watch basketball anymore, because you kind of see that kind of persona there. You don't see a lot of that in football. And so for me, I was very taken aback and like, not a fan of this guy, because he's not somebody I could look to share as an example of a good leader, of a good sport, of a good winner. I just, for me, I was totally turned off with who he is, but just by watching that one game.
Sure. And I mean, I'm like on the, I'm always like reading into conspiracy theories, and somebody was saying that it's kind of understandable that they were placed together, Taylor Swift and him, for publicity, things like that, for the NBA or NFL. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. And this is one of the memes that I saw, because this is the other thing, all the Swifties out there. So if you're a Taylor Swift fan, that's what you're called. You're called a Swiftie. So all the Swifties out there, after this happened, this interaction.
I'm going to make you a shirt, #Swiftie.
Swiftie. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Nice. Nice shameless plug.
So they're saying that they should leave him now because of the way he acted, because he acted, so inappropriately and like this frat boy bro type person. They're saying, you should leave him. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, but doesn't she have like a track record of dating bad people?
We're going to talk next week about relationships, okay?
But that's like her track record. So he's just going to become another song in her repertoire.
Exactly.
Right?
It's good for both of them. It's just, it's not good like for us watching, but like really it's going to bring them both some fame. Through
what's funny is you talk about conspiracy. It's like, was this whole thing manufactured to get more people to watch the NFL? Like that's a really easy conspiracy theory to kind of fall into. Yeah. Because here's all these people who are Taylor Swift fans that would never watch football. And then they manufacture this whole, what would you say? Controversy. They manufacture this whole controversy around their relationship. And we talked about that in a previous episode where they manufactured this whole thing to drive traffic toward the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's fun. That was a fun current event.
Yeah. It was something.
You say you don't like watching the NBA, but I get those.
NFL.
You don't like watching the NBA.
Oh, NBA, yes.
And I get these reels of like really sweet moments from NBA players, like running into an old lady and picking her up. And then one guy goes up to do a layup and goes to fall, and the guy on the other team catches him. You never seen those? Oh, those are like the heartwarming ones, right? Like
just like junior high or something?
No, the NBA and NBA.
I have never seen that.
I'm going to send them a reel.
I see the big egos out there trash talking.
I don't watch the NBA games. I just watch the short clips of them being good sports. And it's a dopamine hit of feel good.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll believe you. But
you should.
So I honestly haven't watched the NBA in years because of that whole thing. And it really kind of started with Dennis Rodman. with his ego and his attitude, and it just got progressively worse. And I just kind of fell.
You know what's so funny is he's such a nice guy.
Yeah, but not on the court.
Yeah, but when I was a flight attendant, he was on one of my flights.
Oh, no way.
Oh man, he was such a nice guy.
Really?
I was like, and Cameron Diaz, the two famous people I met. Oh, Scottie Pippen, not nice at all.
Really?
Cameron Diaz and Dennis Rodman were both very nice.
I can't believe that they'd be flying a regular aircraft.
It was United first class.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways.
Interesting.
Let's talk about our advancement.
So you've met some famous people.
Yeah. I record a podcast with you every week.
I've only met one, and I had to sneak backstage to meet him. Lance Armstrong.
Oh, nice.
It's another story for another time. It's a fantastic story, though.
Yeah. My brother's famous, too, by the way.
That's right.
My adopted brother.
Yeah. That's right. Boy, you just surround yourself with famous people.
It's just, I can't help it. Yeah. So Aaron, tell us about our advancement today to help with our financial stress, to help ease the stress in our life financially.
That's funny because I was just going to segue this to you.
Okay.
No, it's fine. So Dave Ramsey, I went through the Dave Ramsey plan several years ago. Actually, Casey, our producer, was teaching a FPU, Financial Peace University, which is Dave Ramsey's program. He was teaching it through our church. And I've been in business for years. I do okay with finances. I'm like, I don't really need this, but I really want my wife and I to be on the same page when it comes to finances. I'm the saver, she's the spender, and why are you chuckling? I know you're the spender too. So I'm the saver, she's the spender, and I want us to be on the same page with this. And I thought, I don't really need this. I'm just going to go to get my wife to be more responsible with money. And then we got there and I realized, wow, I really need this too. I was not as good with money.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Seriously. It's a true story.
The Bible talks about pride comes before the fall. Bam.
It's so funny because I get there and I think it was like week 2 and I'm like, this is for me. Like, I'm learning so much about this. And some of it actually translated into my business and how it's a little bit different debt with business versus personal, but I was able to use some of these principles. And now I've been trying to talk Casey into teaching this for my employees because it was so valuable. I got 140 employees. They all need this. So I'm like, Casey, I'll pay you. Just come teach this to my people because it's so valuable.
So valuable.
And everybody's like, I need a raise. I need to make more money. I need a better job that pays more. I'm like, you need to be responsible with what you have and you'll have more money. Trust me. I didn't make any more money. I just learned to use that money as a tool instead of a toy. That's what I really learned. Hey, that's really good.
It's a good hashtag.
That hashtag.
Use the money as a tool instead of a toy.
That's more like a tagline, not a hashtag. It's too long.
Yeah, it's a long. Okay, sure.
I'll have to teach you hashtags. It's okay. Whole nother class. We'll teach hashtags. It's fine.
Well, I like another thing that you said at the beginning about it's not necessarily a budget, but a structure.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
I like that word because you say budget before I did this class and I'd be like, no. Don't tell me how to spend my money.
Yeah, you create a structure. You create a system of how to use your money efficiently and effectively. And it's amazing. It really is. And it's so simple. When I first got into it, I thought, this is going to be this really large, convoluted exercise and doing all this stuff that's in theory and nothing practical. It is all practical. Yes. There is no theory. There is zero theory to it. It's practical. It's biblical.
Promising and successful.
Yeah, and it works. Yeah, it's amazing. Let's talk about the app, EveryDollar Counts. And so this is not for budgeting. It's not for anything. That comes next. This is the first part is you have to know where you are before you can get to where you want to go. So if you want to save money for a house, save money for a car, pay off debt, that's where you want to go. But you have to know where you are first. And that's what this app does. EveryDollar Counts app is an app that lets you track where you're spending all your money. Are you spending it in the grocery store, at restaurants, at the salon, coffees, Amazon, Temu. No, it's not Temu. It's
Temu.
Temu. They had Super Bowl commercial. Temu. Whatever it is, all these places you're spending all this money that's going out and you don't know where it's going. Yeah. This app tracks all of that. That way you can start to reduce some of that extracurricular spending and push that over to pay off debt, which helps you achieve long-term goals. Great app. Have you used this before, this app?
I didn't even know about it until we talked about it today.
Yeah, I haven't used the app either, but I understand what it does because there's a worksheet that is based off of.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing just in digital form, which I love. I love apps. I love creating them. I love utilizing them. And I'm a super stickler when it comes to UI UX, which is the user interface portion of an app. I'm super stickler on how that works.
Explaining that.
Yeah, sorry. UI UX is the user experience of the individual using the app. Because sometimes when you're a developer, you build an app, you understand how it works.
Sure.
But that doesn't translate real well to the average person utilizing it. So
you should have me try your apps because I don't. I would be like, the bottom beginner level, so I could help you. Like, what am I trying to say?
I don't know, but I'm thinking of all kinds of funny things.
Troubleshoot, because if you want it user friendly, use me, because anything complicated, I shut off.
You're the lowest common denominator.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
I got a new test market right here. So the EveryDollar Counts app is really cool. I was talking to Casey about this, and the way that it works, there's a free version. So you can download the free version and you can enter everything manually. And that's part of our exercise today is we're going to do some manual stuff with the envelope system. But this thing is fantastic because the free version, everything is done manually. Every purchase, you just do it manually. But in the paid version, which is like $100 a year, so it's not going to break the bank here. It's $100 a year, and it'll do it all for you. It's automated. So it will link into your bank account or multiple bank accounts. And then when you make a purchase, you just click that one and you drag it into the bucket or envelope for whatever that expense is. Groceries, eating out, entertainment, whatever you're going to categorize that, but every dollar counts. So you have to account for every single dollar that's in that app. That's the whole point. Everything must be accounted for.
Yeah, and it tells you your balance for the rest of whatever you have left in that bucket or envelope. So if my grocery bucket is $800 a month and I went to Costco and I spent $330, I drag it to that bucket and it tells me I have math. I should have used easier numbers. $470 left. Yes. Nice.
You're asking the Marine to do math? I think I got it right. I don't know. Math for Marines. Yes.
Used all those crayons, but he got it.
Yeah. So then I can, okay. And that's what's so cool. We'll talk about it later about the envelope system. When I'm like in the envelope and I see there's only $25 left, and I'm like, oh, it's only halfway through the month. Okay. I don't need that right now. I'll save it for later in the month.
Right. It's a really, because here's the thing, and we talked about this, I think, in another episode, or maybe one of my business classes, I talked about this. When you spend money, when you have to take cash and you have to spend money, you feel a sense of loss when you do it. So you are a lot more reserved in spending cash because you feel that physical loss. Your brain registers that you are losing your time because you spend time to make money.
Yes.
And when you buy something, you're giving up money, which is really your time, which you can never get back. So you're giving up time for whatever that purchase is. So you feel a sense of loss. But when it's digital, when the currency is digital and you don't see it, you're just swiping the card, and now you're just tapping the card. You don't see it, so you don't feel that sense of loss.
Yeah.
That's why online shopping is so addictive, because you can't track what you're spending. Now, what this app is trying to do, it's trying to create that sense of loss that you feel with cash by seeing these different envelopes. And as you're spending money in these, it's going down and down and down. So you're starting to see and feel that sense of loss similarly to what you would if you were paying physical cash. So there's no research out on this yet, but it'd be neat to look at a research study that see how people interact and how they feel about that sense of loss when they're spending digital currency that they can physically see going down.
Yeah, it would be smart to even go a step further and, like, for me, be like, hey, if you want to buy that, that's fine. It's going to take you seeing 3 clients.
Oh, sure.
Oh, 3 clients to pay for that pairs of shoes, or I don't know. I don't buy expensive shoes, but I'd be like, heck no.
For expensive sweaters or something.
This was like $12.99.
For Stanley Cups.
Yeah, or Stanley Cups. Pick Me Girl Cups.
My knockoff Hydra Peak Stanley Cup.
Yes.
$16.99. Thank you.
One client.
Sure. I do say that a lot.
So this Every Dollar Counts app, try it out. After talking to Casey, I'm going to go download the app and I'm going to try it out. And so I'll be able to report back to you guys what I think of it. But it's a great way for you. You can get the free version. Get the free version. There's no downside to this. Go download the free version. Utilize it. You're just going to have to manually drag stuff over. If you want to pay off the house, you want to pay off debt, you have to know where you are before you can get to where you want to go. This helps you. This tells you where you are at. So 30 days, do it for 30 days and then tell us how you did.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So do it for 30 days. I'm just talking about this. I'm already feeling the stress go away.
You're feeling the stress melt.
Just melt away.
Well, that's
Calgon, take me away. No, are you too old? Am I too old?
You're too old. I'm not too old.
You don't know what that means?
No, I don't.
No, you don't remember Calgon, take me away?
No. Cowgirl?
Oh, Calgon.
Cowboy, take me away?
No, Calgon.
Dixie
so,
Chicks?
No. This was an ad back in the day. This came on all the time, usually after like the 5 o'clock news, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. It was always this woman. She's like sliding into the bath and she's dumping in Calgon. I don't know what it was, some sort of bath fizzy stuff. And it was like the mom relaxing after a hard day of taking care of the family. Calgon, take me away. It was like her relaxing moment. No, it was on all the time.
Oh, Casey's old enough to remember.
Yeah, see, Casey knows.
Yeah, sorry.
Ask your mom. She'll know.
She will. She loves to take baths.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good segue into our scripture too.
Okay. Oh, yes. Let's
go. Because we're talking about tips in reducing stress, right?
Yes.
And, new advancements, and we're going to do some practicals, but this is also very practical and a great way to reduce stress, right? Is found in Luke 14:28-30, which says, "For which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he has laid a foundation and it is not able to finish it, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, 'This man began to build and was not able to finish.'"
That's that structure I was talking about. The system, the structure.
Yeah.
You build that out and that way you know where you're at. You got to know where you're at before you can get to where you want to go.
Yeah. Or you'll be embarrassed and people will begin to mock you.
Yeah. And so you know what's a great example of this right now?
What?
Actually, I'm thinking about it in LA. There's that giant building in LA right now. It's like a 30-story apartment building that they had to stop building on. So a bunch of Chinese investors invested in it. Now it's just a big graffiti building. So they graffiti artists are climbing all over it, spray painting it, destroying it. What happened, they raised money to build the shell, which is what they have. And then based off the shell, then they say, okay, well, now we need X amount of dollars to build the next stage, which is you do all the finish work and then they can sell it. Well, they didn't have enough money to complete stage one, which was the shell. So it's almost done. It's like 90% for stage one to be done, but they didn't have enough money. Then a bunch of investors decided to pull out. You had that big financial crisis happen in China. So there's a bunch of people who lost a bunch of money. And so now this thing stagnated and there's no more money. Nobody wants to invest to finish it. And so now you have all these investors that have invested millions and millions and millions of dollars into this project that is not going to be finished. I don't think it'll ever be finished. It'll probably end up getting razed to the ground and then have to be something else will be built in its place. This happened locally in Kent. So 10 years ago, there was a building at Kent Station where the same thing, they put the structure in the ground, they put the rebar up, and then they built like the parking garage structure, and then they ran out of money.
Wow.
And it was there for like 2 or 3 years. It was an eyesore. The city was complaining. And so I think the city actually went in and razed it to the ground, and then an investor bought it and then rebuilt it. Because you couldn't, here's the thing, no investor would buy it because they would have had to raise it to the ground and rebuild, because the concrete and the rebar had been exposed so long, it had damaged the structural integrity of the actual foundation of the building. So it couldn't be finished in its current state. So whoever bought it would have had to tear it down and rebuild it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think the city came in and you could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure the city came in and demolished it.
Well, it looks like those people didn't read Luke 14:28-30.
That right there. This is ancient wisdom that we can literally see lived out right now today. It's incredible.
Yeah. Cool. Well, are you ready to go through our practical?
Yeah, let's do our practical. Let's get after it.
All right. Hey, you guys, don't forget to like and subscribe as you're watching. If you like this kind of stuff, hit that like button and subscribe.
Yes. And if you use any of this stuff, let us know in the comments. We're trying to see what you guys like and what you don't. So when you tell us, if you don't tell us anything, we don't know. We'll just keep putting out stuff we like.
Yeah.
But if you like certain content,
which
then
we have a great time doing. So.
Yes, we do. But if there's stuff that you like, that you get value of, that you want more of, let us know and we'll put that out for you guys.
50% of Americans say that they or a loved one have suffered from mental health crisis. Together, we can change all that. Introducing Q Actual, a revolutionary new peer-to-peer based mobile application. Personalized to fit your lifestyle, with pinpoint GPS location in times of emergency. Connecting you to your care provider. With Q Actual, we will move you forward. Download Q Actual now and visit qactual.com.
Yeah, so our tool and practical we'll talk about today is maybe our experience with the envelope system, pros and cons about it for us.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about the envelope system, and then we'll actually go through it. So if you don't download the app, which you should download the app, I'm a tech guy, so download the app. But if you don't want to, if you want to keep it low tech, totally fine. We're going to show you how to do that. Yes. See, low tech, high tech, low speed, high speed.
Oh, wow. Wow. Shots fired. Okay, let's go. No, remember we've talked about this.
Yes.
I'm a pen and paper.
Yes. So
I'm pen and paper. I want to put my cash in an envelope and do it that way. So.
Yes. And she has money under her mattress and she puts dimes in a tin can and buries it by the tree. Do you watch those shows?
Yeah.
Treasure Hunters? I love it. Where they go out to these old abandoned houses with metal detectors and they find like tin cans full of old like mercury dimes stuffed in some tree hole.
Yeah.
It's so
How
cool.
fun.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Squirrel. All right, let's get back to the envelope system.
Yeah, I'll start by giving my experience
you go for it.
with the envelope system. So I touched a little bit on the word budget versus structure. And I really like that.
Sure.
So, like cognitively, psychologically, because as a free spirit, not a nerd, right? There's the nerd and the free spirit. Yeah. I don't like.
Wait, the nerd and the free spirit? That's not the nerd. It's the saver.
It's the nerd and the free spirit. It's the nerd and the free spirit.
Is it the nerd?
You're a nerd. Yes.
I am a nerd. Fine.
Okay. So I've learned, right? I've died to myself and become a nerd at times because I have to, but like my instinct is that free spirit. Like I just want to go, I want to do this, I want to do that. And when you said the word budget to me back then, 10, 15 years ago, I was like, nope, not for me. Right. And then as I walked through this, right, like you said, what is this really going to teach me? Like, but it is so practical. And some of the paradigm shifts that Dave Ramsey, the creator of this, helps you get to as you're in this process, it's helped me in other areas of my life. He tells one story about, I use it in counseling all the time, and parenting is and this was 20 years ago that he put this story out, right? He says, if there's a virus coming into your town or state and it costs $1,000 for the vaccine and you can only buy it, you can't steal, kill, destroy, borrow. You have to figure out what you give up in your home, what you sell in your home in 1 month. You have 1 month to buy this $1,000 vaccine for your kid. Okay. What would you give up? What would you sell? Right. And like, because when one of his baby steps is to save $1,000, for me back then was like, yeah, right. I could never do that. Right. And then he gives you that story and I'm like, hold on. At this point, I had Liberty. She was little. So I was like, really, to save her life, I would give up so much. And I have a bunch of stuff that I don't use that I could sell quickly to get that $1,000. And so that was the beginning for me of transitioning from that free spirit to that nerd spirit, because he helped me shift that paradigm. Right. And also then going into those envelopes and knowing, like, because when I thought of budgeting, I thought I like my biggest thing I don't like to give up is that gift giving. And I think, well, budgeting, I won't be able to give gifts like I want to. When no, you can still budget however much you want in the gift giving envelope. You just you just set a number to it. And then when that number's gone, then you're done. That way I'm not just like aimlessly out everywhere I go all the time. Like, oh, that reminds me of that person. And that reminds, like, I have my $100 budget, which person. So this month I'll buy this yellow coffee mug for this friend because that's her favorite color. And then I'll save my gift budget next month for this friend that I found this beautiful scarf that I know she'll love, instead of just buying them both off the whim, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So it just gives me a little structure around my spending instead of necessarily budgeting.
How does that relieve stress for you?
Well, I'm not paycheck to paycheck.
Oh, yeah.
That is a huge stress reliever. I have enough money to pay for the things I need in my life. $1,000 emergency fund, having it, just knowing I have $1,000 tucked away if something comes up is a huge reduction of stress. Not to mention the reducing of stress that comes from learning how to use your money instead of your money using you. Knowing that you have control over something so important in your life is a stress reduction all in itself.
How do you think that affected your relationship?
You're getting really good at this.
I'm learning.
Oh, my relationships. Okay.
Like with your spouse specifically.
Yeah. It was really good for us when we went through Financial Peace University because, like you mentioned, we got on the same page. We began working together towards one goal instead of separately away, and which helped with any kind of financial disagreements or arguments that we got into. And we were able to hold each other accountable to reach that like-minded goal that we had.
So you are the free spirit, and I'm really the nerd. And so the nerd wants to do this kind of stuff. We're very into like saving money and structure and building this out.
My husband loves it.
Yes, right. And so the free spirit, not so much. So what would you say to another free spirit? Not to convince them, but to encourage them to try the system out?
The number one thing I say to fellow free spirits, because it's a lot of our apprehension is putting limits on our freedom, right? Is I'm not necessarily I'm not telling you no, I'm saying this is how much you have. Because our mind goes first to, no, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. Yes, you can do that with this much.
Yes. Okay.
And so it goes back to a lot of psychology we talk about is that positive, looking at it positively instead of negatively. Oh, I can't do this anymore. I can't do. No, you can do this. You can continue doing this with this much. Does that make sense?
So there is freedom in the structure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Even more freedom because then you're financially free as well, not tied down, right?
Yes.
Well, and I was thinking, you asked me how it affects relationships as well. I stopped having to ask my parents to borrow money when I got into crises. We stopped having to ask our in-laws for, like, that helps relationships as well, being financially stable because of the proper choices you're making. And it helps relationships outside of just your spouses, your people that your money decisions affect. So that too. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's get right into using our tool, which is the envelope system.
Yeah.
Because I think you chewed up all the time for, no, I'm just kidding.
Let's have a meter of who talks more.
Women say way more than men do.
Most of the time, but not you and me.
I know I have to carry this conversation every time.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what envelopes are we going to talk about here?
So what we're going to do is we're going to create a fake budget here just for simplicity's sake. I've got 3 different businesses. It would be really difficult to try and do a real one. So let's talk about just a fake budget and how this envelope system will work. So let's say what, $2,000 a month is what the income is?
Sure.
Okay. So your income is $2,000. I know it's not realistic, right? $2,000 a month. Let's say your housing is going to be $900. Food currently is $400. And transportation is $300.
Right. And there's tools out there to break that down more, right? Housing is like utilities, gas,
utilities,
rent,
right.
or mortgage and property tax, whatever it costs for your housing. That's going to be the same most months, except for maybe utilities in the winter, right?
Right. And so let's look at eating out is $100. Let's look at streaming services is another $100. Let's look at insurance is $100. And yeah, that's it. So that leaves us with, that's $1,900 total. So we have $100 left in incidentals. So there's nothing for savings really. The $100 kind of just gets chewed up with buying coffees or, different little things like that. Mm-hmm. So that's your $2,000 budget right there.
And if you want to switch some things around, right? If you want $50 to budget for, or say $40 every Saturday morning to start your weekend, you want that specialty coffee. So we go down here and we put $40 for coffees, and then we take down that transportation to $260, and you choose to carpool.
Let's not say coffee, because there's no savings here.
Oh, I have to save before I get coffee?
You have to save before you get coffee. So we're going to take the coffee out. That's a luxury.
Okay.
That's going to be savings. So let's say that we want to save $100 a month, because we want to get 10 months. We'll get to the $1,000.
$100 savings.
So we want to do $100.
So where are we going to take it away then?
In savings. So you look at what are some things that you could cut back on? You can't really cut back on housing. That's fixed. You can't really cut back on food. You got to eat. Transportation, it's really difficult to cut back on. So those three are really hard to cut back. But what are some things that you could? Eating out, you could cut back on. Streaming services, you could cut back on. And your incidentals. Mm-hmm. Those three things are luxury items that you could cut back on. Mm-hmm. So if you did $50 out of cut your eating out budget in half. So you eat at home more often. Mm-hmm. And then you cut back one of your streaming services by $50. That's $100 right there.
Yeah.
And then you still have your incidentals, and you still have everything else covered.
And a free spirit, right, is going to look at this and be like, you're telling me no for everything that I want. So how do we budget in there to get my one coffee a week when I'm used to getting it 3 times a week?
That's your incidentals.
Okay, but every dollar has to have a name. So we have to take money from the incidentals and name it.
Okay, so we take
right, Casey?
Yes. So take the incidentals, right, and so then put your coffees in there.
Coffee. And I'm getting way less coffee than I was.
Sure.
But I'm still allowing it. So I'm going to do $40 for coffee. That's $60 for incidentals. But what is an incidental? This is where it gets gray.
Right. So for me, when I look at incidentals, it's little things like maybe a hygiene product that you ran out of, shampoo, or maybe it's these things you don't have to buy every single month, but when they run out, you've got to buy it. It's like, I got to get this. The dog needs a shot, or, you're like, oh man, I need to grab a new pair of shoes for work because these ones are, running out. So those are like the little incidentals that they're not an every month occurrence, but they do happen. I know in my life, they happen a lot, especially when I have farm animals. Like those little suckers are expensive from time to time. So that's where my incidentals come in, are those little pieces.
Yeah.
But that's how you really quickly can put $100 away a month for savings.
Yeah.
And so in each one of these that we just talked about, it might be hard to visualize, but we want you to visualize taking that $900 for rent and putting it into an envelope. And then taking that food budget, that $400, putting it into an envelope. And they actually have these multiple, they're almost like a little accordion that opens up, and you put the little tab on it and you put the cash in there. And so you've got those ones that are done. And let's say you're grocery shopping and you get to the end of the month and you're like, I only got $40 in here and I still got a week's worth of time left. And so you might be going to the grocery outlet and shopping at grocery outlet instead of going to Fred Meyer's and getting steaks.
Yeah.
Because you have only that finite amount of money inside that envelope. That way you don't overdraw your account or spend money that you have allocated for something else.
Yeah. Well, or you look in your pantry and get creative with what you already have and then just buy supplemental stuff, like fresh stuff that you have to have in order to make the stuff you already have in your pantry work.
And what's really cool about that for us, and it just reminded me of growing up as a kid, we started buying staples in bulk, rice, beans, things like that we would buy in bulk and have these big jars of it. And we would scoop that out. It's far cheaper than just buying one can of beans or one can of whatever that is that you needed for the day. When you buy in bulk, you save a lot more money and you start to really realize where every dollar goes, making every dollar count. You start making better decisions on what products you're going to buy and how often you're going to buy them when you can see the money physically coming out of each one of those. Yeah. So like eating out, if you want to take your spouse out to a really nice fancy restaurant, you only have $100 in there a month and you know that's not going to cover it. So maybe you need to save $20 for the next 3 months. So now you've got $160 to be able to take them out on their birthday for that event. So you start to plan and you make much better decisions when you're thinking and planning than if you're just acting off of emotion and making knee-jerk decisions.
Yeah. I hear you, nerd. I hear you.
Are you feeling convicted right now, Jess?
No, because I've worked on this very, very strenuously in my life. But.
So I know this can be a little bit difficult to visualize. So we're going to put some resources out for you guys. You can Google this really simply. Look at the Dave Ramsey envelope system. You'll be able to see exactly what we're talking about, or download the app. You're going to love it. All right. And they don't pay me to say that. I'm just telling you, my nerd brain says you're going to love it. Yeah. So that's it here for us at the Mental Health Janitors, where we hope that we educate, empower, and encourage you on your mental health journey. I'm Sgt Q.
And I'm Doc Jess, and we're out.